Something going on. Yeah. Yeah. Something going on in the neighborhood. Why do we see much further than we should? You're sick of the lies, sick of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Oh, that gets me every time. Sorry, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I'm your host, Zach Good Times for All, and today we're going to be talking about pole shift. Now, this is one of those that takes me back way before Flat Earth, way before Nibiru and all that stuff, before I found the creator. Geez, I think it was 1998 when they said the pole was starting to shift and it had moved, 5 times further than it had in any previous year for like a very long time. It was starting to move from northern Canada on its way towards Siberia, Russia. And yeah, it was a big to do. And then the crazy thing is it supposedly is still moving that way. And yeah, you don't really hear about that too much anymore. Now it's more about the fear porn of what can happen if a pole shift does occur. Is it a violent, horrible thing that happens, in seconds?
The new ice age. Oh,
Yeah, or is,
everyone's gonna die.
things on the equators are going to be the new pole and this and that. And yeah, there's been so much speculation and this and that. And we know that, if we were on a globe, then we may have to worry about some of that kind of stuff. But since we know that we're not, yeah, I don't know what this place actually is, the limits and everything is still up in the air. It's, I have no clue. So what is actually going on creating our magnetic field? We have some really neat ideas. We've recreated what we see here in many ways.
I don't really get the whole thing though. Like, why would it be so dangerous? Why would it be so cataclysmic if like just where your compass points to changes over time? You know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal? Because as far as I can tell, like the sun is still about the same distance away. And
I think what they're saying is that, if the pole flips, that the Earth is going to try to flip with the pole, So yeah, South America would try to be up near North America. There would be, but they say it wouldn't do that, but it would drag it a little bit, So it's going to move violently, and there's going to be catastrophic storms everywhere.
We're talking about the sun moving position in the sky. That's kind of basically what they're talking about. And so they're kind of trying to predict that.
if this pole flip happens, then the entire equator is going to move next, and that's not going to be the equator line anymore. It's going to like be somewhere completely different, and that would be the catastrophic stuff that everyone's worried about.
So what are they're saying that the Earth is the axis is gonna change? Because I don't get that. How is that? That's not even related to the pole, though.
Yeah, I know. I
So
know.
why do they think that? Because even, okay, look at it. Even if you think you do live on a globe, the poles are not exactly antipodal. Like there is no the axis doesn't. It's not. It's like all bendy. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not even right.
You wouldn't use it for your vehicle at all.
No, you
No.
would. You
It'd be a
would
rough ride.
not.
Like you could put a magnet in a top, but is the top really going to care about the magnet unless like it is being magnetized to the table? Like I don't really think a magnet would have any effect on the top whatsoever.
Yeah, no, well, these are all things that, we've never seen happen. So they're kind of speculating on what might happen if this does occur. And Cammy will get into this more, but they collect their data. And they're even doing it from buildings now. And they think they can get what the magnetic field was of Earth by reading this brick that was laid at this certain time and going and looking at that brick now and reading its magnetic field and saying, oh, this was made when the Earth was this way.
I'm just thinking about like the ground settling, about how like buildings can sink because of settling.
The magnetic field was, facing this direction and this brick was made. It's like, how would you know which direction the brick was made in the first place?
I was just going to say, did the person who put the brick there go, oh, this is north. I'm going to put the brick this way. Like,
it's silly. Yeah. And they've done it in other things too. Cammy will get a lot more into this. Okay. But before we do, we're going to say hello to everybody real quick. So we'll start off with Miss Karen B. Karen.
Hi. How's it going?
How has your week been? Not too shabby, or?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I've just been busy. Just been rearranging stuff and trying to get
I notice your background looks different tonight. It's not just the white wall, so I see things are moving around in there.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Next up, Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, I know you've been busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Along
just
with Karen.
Cranking out the videos. A lot of the videos have just been stuff I had on my channel before it got deleted. And so I've just been reposting that stuff. But while I'm at it, I'm also trying to add improvements here and there. Okay, well, that could have been said better. Oh, man, that got glitched out. The audio quality was just terrible on that one. So I'm trying to do what I can to make it better. And so, yeah. And some of them, like the ones that when I first really got into this, I'm like shocked. I'm like, oh man, that was so terrible back then. But yeah. And so I've gotten better at video making. So that's the good news.
Yeah, it's definitely an art form. It really is. And you just learn little tricks of the trade as you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all of our videos that we've made, and even Karen's. I mean, she started off with already kind of a background in it. So she was one of those that right off the bat was pretty good at it. But even she has gotten better over time.
Yeah. And getting a video out every day for the past like several months. It's been crazy. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Mrs. Cammy No Doubt. Cammy, how are you doing?
Slow motion compared to everybody else. You guys are all so impressive. And Karen, I love it that your background is dark. I can't wait for next month when I'll be out of the little hovel I'm in the kitchen and back out to the sunroom, the screens, where all my files are, by the way. I'm running on a laptop with my stuff out on another computer, and I just feel lost. I don't feel comfortable. So I apologize on the presentations, but I'm hoping to improve myself on here. This is a question, like Zach said, going all the way back. This was even when I met Bob in the 90s. This was something we talked about, was the pole shift, and something we were certain was like we had emergency supplies and everything. In 2005, we were like really going to head for a big pole shift. I've
Yeah, that was one of
studied
those years it was moving real fast. Yeah.
exactly, and it was
Yeah.
we were going to shift, and so I've lived in fear of a pole shift because we could all die. And when you look on there and look at the fear porn, you could die. This ELE, extinction level event. We could all die, and it's something that they hold us all in on it. And with the magnetic fields, there is no area they try to confuse us more than the magnetics of this earth. The amount of like the different I didn't even save a lot of them. Let's see if I can try to present from here. Share screen.
Again, do some sharing.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see if it works. Do we all see? We want the entire screen, so we're gonna see.
If there's audio, make sure you click on your little.
Ooh, did I? Oh, there will be audio on some, but I might have you share an audio one. We'll talk and go
Okay.
back. But
All
I
right.
think
That'll
I'm
work.
sharing now.
Yes, you are sharing.
And let's see if I can find. It's even going back from. Oops, that was a good. Well, how do you know when the Earth's magnetic fields have flipped and what they're going to be doing? We're going to watch that video. But what I wanted to talk about is even in, and again, I'm not on the my regular computer, and I think I have lost my glasses. So we're gonna. That was brilliant coming into here, so we can find it. But we can see what they say from the different government entities. This is USGS, who says, "Is it true that Earth's magnetic field occasionally reverses its polarity?" And they say, yes, we see evidence of magnetic polarity reversals by examining geological record. When lavas or sediments solidify, they often present a signature of ambient magnetic field at the time of deposition. So when they make their deposits, they're saying that they're aligning themselves like little magnets in it. So if
ambient
you remember,
magnetic field, that would be the magnetic
right.
field we pick up with our compass, right? That's the background magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that is the ambient. And you guys need to know that they're using this technology in archaeology a lot, dating again the stones when they again made the bricks. And like Karen said, how do they know what position? And if you heat them up and you lose the magnetics of it, again, they're taking the Barrow direction and saying that it's the rough alignment. And they're using this technology associated with the, again, pole flipping, and what they've like gone with associating as evidence of a pole flip to start doing, they're again applying it in different fields. So in archaeology, they're using this to say that these bricks came from this area and from this time. And they're dating them, and they're calling it quite precise, which I have a problem with. We'll see why we have a problem with it. These reversals are random with no apparent periodicity to their occurrence. They can happen as often as every 10,000 years and as infrequently as 50 million years or more. The last reversal was about 780,000 years ago. Okay.
So if the last reversal is 780,000 years ago, how are they using any human man-made anything?
They just
That's a good question.
It wouldn't have really changed. There wouldn't have been a flip.
Okay, let's see what there's. Yeah, no, that's.
I have a question about hot lava going along with magnetic fields to begin with.
Right. The hot lava, and you would
I don't
think.
believe
And remember,
that story.
Yeah.
One of your biggest datings of the Earth and the proof of the pole flips you'll know is by the Marianas Trench, and they say that as it's pushing out and pushing outward, not down, because remember, normally we date things by the further we dig, the older it is, because nobody ever digs or builds things underground, or things don't accumulate more in one area than another. I mean, the earth, the ground, and everything, it accumulates. I know living in the South and living in Denver, if you don't take care of your yard for a couple of months, or have neighbors that don't do it, the difference between even the areas and how much it will grow in one area compared to another. But supposedly we can go down this many feet and date it to this many years back. But we won't get this. This is Viz.org, evidence of a fast north-south pole flip. And what do they say? They say Earth's magnetic poles flip every 200,000 years or so, with north becoming south and vice versa. Normally the process takes 4,000 to 5,000 years. So but now they seem to think it happens much faster. The first evidence was discovered of geomagnetic field reversal was in 1995 when the well-preserved lava flows were found in Oregon. This is crazy. So they found lava flows, and they've determined that the magnetic pattern that suggested the magnetic field had been shifting over 10,000 times faster than normal at 6 degrees a day. The magnetic patterns are preserved within the magnetic crystals in the lava, formed as the lava cooled. Go ahead and make sense to me with heat, magnetic stuff. And again, I would think that the direction of the flow would have a greater impact on the directions the evidence were. But this is their evidence of a pole shift. Let's go somewhere else. Shall we? Let's see.
Yes, please.
Let's ask NASA.
Let's ask NASA, because everybody has got different time frames. Guess what? Here they even completely flip.
I'm sorry.
Right, and the field again. It looks like a comet.
They make Earth look like a comet.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in the heliocentric model, it is.
We're just flying through, and again, our even spheres producing this little pattern that's pulled because we're flying so fast. I think that's what it means. So I guess if it would,
and the electric field is
deal
constant pretty much everywhere. Sorry, that's the part that blows my mind. How they can say that.
Yeah, from the look of it, like the colors on it are like pretty different. Like it's really shallow on one end and like really thick on the other. And yeah.
That is what they call the North Pole or the magnetic South Pole, and the South Pole or the magnetic North Pole, which again, this reads like a quadrupole, and this opens up. It works much better on a flat Earth than a globe. It is just according to logic, but ancient trees showed when the Earth's magnetic field last flipped out. It's in Science. NPR. We have other sources now too, or 3-minute listen. An ancient, well-preserved tree that was alive the last time the Earth's magnetic poles flipped has helped scientists pin down more precise timing of that event, which occurred 42,000 years ago.
They love to act like they're immortal, like omniscient beings. Like they know everything.
Didn't the other thing say it was 708 something thousand years ago?
Yes. And another one said 300. Yes, this is what I mean. Is every science that we go into in every area, depending if we go to Oregon or we go to the Marianas Trench or we go to a tree or we go to an archaeological site, each one of them is giving a different. Very, very different, where they have pinned down the more precise timing of the event, which now is 42,000 years ago, according to an ancient, well-preserved tree.
According to Google, Methuselah tree, right, is in the Great Basin bristlecone pine that is currently, as of this writing, a mind-bending 4,854 years old. And this is supposedly the oldest tree on Earth.
Right, but this was a tree that was alive the last time. It's not alive now, but it was alive the last time.
Well, how would they know that?
They don't. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, now we're getting to the gist of our
all these definitive statements. Yeah.
All of the definitive things and everything that we're looking at, sometimes it happens in some sciences. Every page I'm going to pull up is going to give you a different story, depending on what the science is, where it's coming from. Is it the BBC? Is it the NPR? Is it the USGA? Is it the trees? Is it the archaeologists? Why variations in Earth's magnetic fields are causing today's climate change. And this is going to have a different, that's 300,000 years.
Hmm.
There was another one that was from Britain that also had high level, but this is what I mean is your extinction level. The geomagnetic field has been decaying now for the last 3,000 years, and we're all going to die. But what would really, no, you look at it,
The salesmanship.
Earth's magnetic is going to flip. Here's how we know. How do we know the Earth's magnetic poles have flipped? I watched this lecture, and he's going to show us that how he does this magnet around and the things are going to line up. He's going to tell you that as the lava cools, you can tell by him going around here that by pushing the magnet around, you can tell, and rocks can become magnetized. So we can look at this and know that everything is flipped because
Will you
the
full screen it?
ferrous, the ferrous material in these rocks is pointing in different directions on those. So we know it's flipped. I don't know if you guys.
I mean,
know if I
in
shared
small
sound.
areas of the Earth, no, the sound isn't playing. You'll have to
Okay.
reshare it. Yeah.
Might have
I
to
mean, the
back
magnetic
wind in.
field, there's anomalies all over the Earth with magnetic fields. I mean,
Mhm.
probably within 100 miles of where you're living, there's a weird magnetic anomaly, and there might even be like a, they have them here all over the place in this country where you go and stand and it looks like you're standing kind of sideways, and you pull out your magnet and it's not lining up to north right here for some reason. It's like, 10, 15 degrees off from where it should be. These things are all over the place. That's what I should have, when my mother and I did the Gravity Hill thing, when I went to one of those that was right down the road from where I was living. I should have had my magnet there, or my compass, to see what it did.
For
Yes,
sure.
you should have. And the different things. And what you're talking about is another reason why, like, the Earth going up the Earth flying up does not work well with reality. Because if the Earth was not only a lot of things like where is it going, if the Earth was flying up, we would have completely even rates of it. And we don't right now. We have, again, different effects depending on where you are. And we need to always, again, have a counterweight and a balance. And what do? We take things and we standardize them. So again, people
Mhm.
are like, well, wouldn't you just buy it here and sell it there? And it's like, no, because we calibrate our scales. One of the first things you have to do when trading anything is calibrate your scale, which your first step is making it level and counterbalancing something of a known weight, a universal weight to it to set the gauge of it. So again, just facts on it. That's probably off topic with pole shift. But pole shift, if you do this and pull it up again, they're going to tell us, they're going to know, but they don't know. Let's see if I can. Do I have a folder of stuff here with magnetic fields in it?
You probably do.
I probably do. So we're going to play, and this is
Now,
again
okay,
what.
real quick. So,
Mhm.
would a pole flip on this model be more considered like where the red is and the blue would switch places?
Yes, that's okay. This is what we're going to talk
Mhm.
about. So we are talking about like pole shift and how they sell us a pole shift. Is it possible that there could be a pole shift? Well, in magnetics, there are possibilities of pole shifts. They happen. So let's
Mhm.
look at a realistic possibility. This is again jumping forward, but let's look at a realistic possibility of a pole shift and what it would look like on a flat Earth model if the poles did shift. Because the sphere porn that they're selling us, what you just said was very, very alert, Zach. What would happen on Earth if you did? And so it would be possible that we could actually have pole shifts or magnetic shifts. We know our magnetics are shifting a lot.
Are we talking
But
about
what
like
do
the
you-
sun changing direction in the sky instead of going from east to west, and now it's going to go from
We-
west to east?
That could definitely, let's get
That's a
into the
possibility
repercussions of
too,
it.
yeah.
That's a possibility of it. But now let's bring it down to, we have a huge realm and it's local. So let's see what we look like on here. We have our red and blue here, which we have our strong pole. We have our red and blue that have to come together, which is going to be off of the map just in order to work with reality. Not because I'm projecting that I want them to come together, but in reality, red and blue don't know any other thing to do. But along with this line of acunal here, they only know how to come together. It's how they work. So if you project this pole and another pole, and this, what would happen is if you had a pole shift, let's say it did reverse. You're right, your reds and your blues would change, but in this configuration, this is interesting. The configuration we have is counter space here, which is functioning like on a magnet, a south pole. And the two dipoles are feeding into it. So if they switched, what they would do is they would switch colors and you could switch like a rotational direction on it. But in other words, your compass would still point north, but your declination would, where you have to read to the left or the right, your declination would change, your pressure mediation would change. So if your declination was to the west, it would be to the east. And do you understand what I'm saying? Somebody say this better than I am.
Yeah,
Karen,
just
phrase this.
everything. When you think about a reversal, just think about how we use the field and how we read it, and then things being in the opposite way, if that makes any sense. So Kyle, like you said, yes, things could be rising in the west and setting in the east instead of rising in the east and setting in the west. And maybe warmer places become cooler and cooler places become warmer. You know?
This is going to be, if you look at it, the way they do it and the way they show it in the movies is they showed, I mean, back in the early days in the 2000s, they showed the whole globe flipping over. And then I think by 2005, it was just making a quarter turn, like a 90-degree turn. And the geodetic pole would move.
Oh, I was so
again, like,
excited because the
do you remember
poles
that?
were
It
going to
was
melt
huge.
and all the pyramids and crazy stuff in Antarctica were going to be revealed and yada, yada, yo, yeah.
But
They
of
had
course, on
me.
their model, yeah, you'd be spinning the other way. The oceans would come to a complete standstill. It would flop over. I mean, this would be an extinction level event. This would be catastrophic. On theirs, if you actually quit, if you were on a turning model where you quit, and again, your rotations, your sun and moon rose on the other, let's say our sun rose in the west and set on the east, that would be a catastrophic event in the globe model, according to their model. I think everybody would agree on that.
Right.
Because we would have to be rotating. You'd have to switch with this water ball, switching directions, the sloshing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you describe anything but an extinction level event? I mean, that's a good bear porn. But on a flat earth, if you look at it really, let's look and see how things are affected in reality and at what level they're affected at. Water
Sorry.
is, go ahead.
What was that movie with John Cusack about? What was that? 2012? Was that called?
The
Wasn't
Day
it
After Tomorrow. Is that it?
The day
No,
after
that's the one
tomorrow,
with Keanu Reeves, isn't it?
I don't know.
No, the one with John
where everything
Cusack and
froze
he's got
up,
his
or
Woody Harrelson standing out there at Yellowstone Park watching the super volcano erupt in front of him, talking about how glorious it is because it's going to kill everybody on Earth. And
I think it
there
was
was
2020.
arcs built in China.
Sorry,
2012, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's it. 2012.
Yeah, but I think the poles flipped in that. That was like the start of it all. Was the magnetic poles flipped, and then everything went haywire after that. I think that's what caused that movie. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was like one of the main driving factors of the whole 2012 thing. Okay, that's it.
we've had a lot of different things on it. I'm trying to remember the one where everything froze up and they had to stay warm in New York City and we're burning everything in the library.
That was the Day After Tomorrow.
That was the day after tomorrow. Okay. But on here, let's think about it. The water is diamagnetics, and your diamagnetics is your downward motion in either configuration. That's your gravity. That's your That's what's holding you down, and that's your out of the things. That's what affects everything. So that's staying the same. Your para is your rotations, and your rotations, again, are going to, in the water, it's not going to immediately change the water. It's not going to like jump into the water and change the ocean currents immediately or do it. If your magnetic switched, it would be more of a pressure mediation over time finding it, because again, the strong force of the oceans are much more dominant in motion right now. Your currents are in place and that. So if you switched out like just the magnetic underlyings and the underpinning of it, I realize right now our tides in that follow, follow the magnetic fields, because again, it makes your high and low pressure mediations. But if you change it out or actually shifted it, it would be more of a flow over time. It would be, you're going to have areas that are arid deserts that are going to get rain, areas that are raining out that might be dry. You would have some climate changing, but your compasses would actually, again, still point north and just deviate left instead of right or right instead of left, according to your pressure mediation. Your rotations in the air. Okay, so your sun and moon, if they change directions, how much would that really physically affect us on Earth? Other than, again, you could have your days of darkness, but again, if that's not over the overwhelming temperature, if a lot of it is coming from the ground, if they changed it, it would be spectacular, but would it be life-ending? Would it be an elimination level or all extinction level event? Would it be the way that they sell us pole ships and these things having to happen in that? Really,
Yeah,
would it be
and
that way, or would it
if it
be,
was real
again,
slow, a nice slow one, we probably wouldn't even notice it. Again, this is all if we were on
right?
the globe, right? In the
Right.
movie
And even if
now,
it did,
it said
yeah,
that okay, the crust had shifted by almost 23 degrees to the southwest, like instantaneously. The Earth's poles have reversed their magnetic field, and the South Pole is now in Wisconsin. Yeah. So in that movie, that was like a big part of it, like starting off was the Earth's pole shifting because we got hit by solar radiation storms, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Fear
Oh,
porn.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Total nonsense. Just
So
wouldn't
that
talk
isn't
about it.
even like, yeah, this is going to happen now or then, or, every so often. This is, we got hit by something in space, this unseen force, you know.
this is something too that if you think about it and you look at Earth's magnetic field, and we know that the sun and what we call space weather, we know that there's another magnetic field bumping up against us. That's like we measure the boundary and where we go into another one. Even if we changed on Earth's magnetic field, there's no guarantee that that's not on another dielectric plane above us. In other words, if stacking things, the way things are explained in history and just the way that we take measurements would point to, again, a boundary and another magnetic field that, again, Earth's magnetic field is supposedly shielding us from the harmful rays of the sun. So that means that the sun would be outside of the magnetic field, if we were to trust that at all, in which case us changing the magnetic field here does not necessarily even change the rotation. If you did a shift at that level, at that magnetic, we know the sun changes magnetic fields every 11 years, every solar cycle, and yet it does not change which way it rotates.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mhm.
something to think about too. It's like when the sun changes, it's not, they're saying it's flipping or rotating or doing that, but what's really the magnetic fields that we measure from there, it's not changing directions every 11 years or every 20, 2 years or every on the cycle when it goes. I'm having the cycle for each one of them, and I realize the full cycle is 22, but for each time it switches over, it is not changing direction in the sky. It goes pretty much unnoticed. It changes the magnetic conditions here on Earth and how we respond to it. And our field is stronger when there are more sunspots and weaker when there are less. I mean, it's an interactive field. But the fear porn and all of the questions out there, if the sun really did stop in the sky for 3 days, or what do you think would happen? it'd be very warm and light in that area for 3 days. That's for damn sure, and dark in other places.
It's
I
all
don't
just
know.
salesmanship. That's
It's
it.
all
I know
salesmanship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
major religions would take back over a lot of the
Mm.
beliefs around Earth if the sun stopped in the sky again. Just saying, that would be a huge blow to the heliocentric model.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
Yeah. Could you imagine what it was like
I
back
would
in the day? I mean,
not want to be where it stopped, like right
yeah.
under where it stopped.
Yeah. Because I know we all know about Daniel in the Bible, the story about Daniel asking for more time to defeat his enemies.
That
But,
wasn't Daniel. That was Joshua.
or Joshua.
Yeah.
Was it Joshua? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But then
Look at the
also
Battle of
in the
Jericho.
Chinese history, this happened as well. They have in
They
their
recorded
history,
it.
yeah, they recorded the sun stopping in the sky, rising back, well, going setting and then rising back up into the sky, and then waiting there a little bit and then setting again.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
so it went retrograde a little bit.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I mean that would definitely shake up the whole NASA and all that kind of stuff for sure if something like that happened.
Huh.
I mean, they couldn't just say, "Oh yeah, the Earth stopped spinning 1,000 miles an hour. You just didn't feel it."
Yeah, right.
That's not going to work.
That truly is like one of the best points on it is it wouldn't work, and none of the like biblical things I think would work with it, or again it wouldn't work. It would be, again, it's hard to stop a water ball spinning it at over 1,000 miles an hour, change directions of it, or flip it over without a lot of repercussions on it. On ours, it's a very, very weak force in there. When you hold a magnet nearby you, this and that, and change it, you don't feel a lot of it. It's not a thing. Again, I think it more sets the system, sets things into action than having such a strong immediate impact on anybody.
Okay, here I found it. Here
I
is.
used to have some tops that you could spin and they'd flip upside down, but that had nothing to do with like magnetism whatsoever.
And what is this? Oh,
Yes,
this.
it does. I think it does, Kyle.
The,
Do you want to know how
plastic
I think it
tops
has
that
something?
it had like a ball on the end of it, and then like a
First
a
of all,
stick.
anytime that you're spinning things,
Yeah, the
anytime that
spin.
you're spinning things, you take it outside of gravity. I mean, that's how we get things to lift, or that's under quote unquote gravity. So spinning it, to me, remember the rain on energy, your diamagnetics and your dielectrics that's raining down on you?
No.
What about if you rotate it so quickly it can't catch all of the like rain
Gyroscope
going down on it?
spin.
And that's why
Gyroscope spin.
the knob ends up flipping upside down.
Right. I mean, to me, it's almost a gyroscope spin. The things that you take it out of, you're obvious, and we don't know if it's your correct answer to it, but your obvious would be is spinning something heavily. Again, it takes it so it can't, in that second time, like get all of the matchups of, again, you have the dias pulling down and it raining down, and if you spin it, it's not able to catch the down as much.
I'll have to look more into that.
Almost an obvious,
Yeah.
Think
It doesn't
about
have any
think
like
about it
metal
some.
or anything like that in it. It's
It
just
doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Everything is diamagnetic.
You're right,
And
you're right.
everything is, even if it's ferromagnetic, it's still diamagnetic. And then the
Mhm.
ferro is just stronger, and we're going to call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is. Yeah.
I've never considered it making a magnetic field by spinning before. That's a new concept to me.
Who was the guy who had all the videos about spinning things at like tens of thousands of miles an hour and they would float? The little balls that he would spin.
Eric Lathwaite did some of it, but a lot of UFO people in that. I mean, a lot of people went into that's why the spin technology was with
I
all
forget
of
his
the
name.
UFO and aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here's
That's
what I
what-
was talking about before. Oh, sorry, Cammy, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So they're saying the North Magnetic Pole was here in 1900 in the northern Canadian, whatever you want to call these islands, peninsula right here. And they tracked it, over 80 years, it moved like that far. So not super duper far. But then in 20 years after that, so what is this dot? This dot doesn't have a number. Is that 1990 maybe? Because I know 98 was the year that it really took off and people were like, whoa, what happened here? And then, yeah, 2000 to 2010, it moved even more, but then it started kind of slowing down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the, the geographic North Pole. And yeah, it's pretty close, but it's slowing down. That's interesting. Maybe it's going to loop around and end up right on there. I don't know. But yeah, this is right around 1998 is when it was brought to my attention that the magnetic pole and then all the pole flip and all that kind of stuff started happening. Yeah. But yeah, and they all have like different Look at how perfect this looks,
Yeah, the field does not look like that.
No, not at all. Let's blow some of these up.
I don't see. Yeah, they always want to show that field on Earth, but that's not at all.
And then look at
It's
this.
supposed to be
What it
spinning
looks
or
like.
twisting like a top.
Yeah.
Torrential.
And then you go to the South Pole. And they say there's two south, there's, like the Earth has 4 up here. It has the quadrupole, but the South Pole doesn't have a quadrupole. The bottom southern hemisphere.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why it'd be 4 on one side and only 2
I
on the
needed
other?
to. I flunked. I had a really good video, and when I rebooted and even looked through the histories, I couldn't find it. But it was a woman talking about pole shifts, and she was explaining on how on our magnetic field on it with the dipole. I thought it was great because she was like, "Yeah, because right now it's represented as a single dipole, but you know that our Earth was not only always a single dipole. Sometimes it was an octopole, and sometimes it had 6 poles, and sometimes." But she was.
It's just changing all the
It was-
time.
She goes, in deep science, but we represent it. She goes, and that's why even now, but they will say even now, right now, when you look at the top, see the quadrupole, the beautiful quadrupole at the top of our map. I don't know if you can show it, but I was. They do say that our field has, because it's been pointed out so many times, our field does have some quadrupole dynamics about it in areas that look like quadrupoles. So at least they're.
And some of not all the maps show it, but there's two magnetic poles in the center.
There it is.
One is moving and one is stationary.
Mm-hmm.
And they only talk about the one that is moving because that's the one that affects where your compass points to, but there is another one there.
This one on your declination,
That's
bring that one up. That's one of our favorites. That's our South Pole, by the way, or how our quadrupole does it in our South Pole. It shows us 2 dipoles.
So what's the one that stays where it's at? What's that one called?
Well, in other words, we're measuring pressure mediation and where the mediation is getting less. None of the ones are actually where the magnet, there's not like a giant magnet that's floating around, and the way they represent it is really, really lame. This is just supposedly the center of where it switches over and it. And again, on our South Pole, you look at it and we have one area that would be under Australia and one area that you'd go to and be under, past the little dip you can get into on South America. So you'd have to go and they'd be further away.
Make any sense? I mean, it would on like a bar magnet, but it would be like all red here and all blue here.
Okay, what you have here is this is called a dipole loop. And if you had the dipole loop there, again, you would get your natural quadrupole in that position.
This looks electric to me, though. This doesn't look like a natural magnetic
It's because
field.
It's not.
I've seen this created, with the little iron shavings and 2 electrodes where they touch the electrodes down and show that, when you create a current, it creates a magnetic field with that, and like the rice seed or grass seeds or rice. I don't know if rice does it. Grass seeds. You put them in a little oil and then you put, something at the top of the petri dish and something at the bottom. You could even make them flat and it lines up like this, straight up and down, or you can just do it the 2 points and it'll look kind of like this. They'll all be curved. But yeah, when you create electricity, it creates fields kind of like this when you have 2 points almost.
That
But
is a
one
good
will
way of,
be
yeah.
positive, the other will be negative. It won't be split
Mhm.
like this down the middle.
No, no, it's one or the other. This is, again, it's a hybrid.
makes
Your
no
electric
sense to
is
me.
point, so
Yeah.
and the other is, it wouldn't know how to do that naturally. And they call, again, the magnetic field of Earth very confusing. You see how they draw it as a big squid, but it doesn't look like, when you look at it, what we fly by when we use it in reality functions. In reality functions, again, where we fly, and that it all of a sudden
Well, yeah,
does
this
make
one
sense.
I can create with
Uh-huh.
magnets, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you can
This
create. You can
one,
even.
it's different. They're not going to
No.
want to lay next to each other like that. They're going to want to flip. One of these wants to be over this way. This red wants to be by this blue, and this blue wants to be by this red still. They don't want to be by each other.
Mm-mm. It's, again, something that makes zero sense at all, and they don't show out. And again, the thing that you're showing is a declination, and something that they don't really. You have to click to get into it. It's not a. Most people are going to still get the bar magnet. It surprises most people to see the 2 magnetic south poles that they display. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then on some of the ones on this, they'll do those 2 displays the way they connect it and then say that it's moved from here to there, which doesn't make sense either. Again, on your drawings, and why would you show them connected like that? But you need that, again, to go back to your flat Earth map. It's on mine, I would have to, but
Here's one.
in your coherent patterns on it.
Well, world magnetic model. I don't understand why they don't just show it.
Why
It
do they
looks
show it
so-
this way? There's a good reason
Yeah.
they show it this way. The reason they show it this way is because no matter how good you really are with magnetics and everything else, looking at it, this configuration, this is why the scientists look at it and say that we have some characteristics of a quadrupole. We've got some different things going on. It's not even. Is much more complicated than you do this. You get to that because their field is looking at it in Mercator is nonsense. There's no logic to it. Magnetic fields only know how to really make sense. They follow a natural pattern, and this, they look at it and say it's complex, is what they say. When you look at it in flat Earth, it's not really all that complex. It's just not a single ring magnet. It looks like a series of fields interacting, which to me, again, when you have motion and things like that involved and pressure mediation, that would make more sense. A series of things to do it just seems it's a simple series. It's not overly complicated to look at. We were able to recreate that how many years ago? Pretty darn easy, weren't we, Zach?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it shocked me how easy it was.
How easy it was. We did it also with that one you did, Karen, who I'd love to have the pictures of when we were holding 2 magnets on each side too, instead of a single one.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually made a stronger, better pattern. That's something that when we get Karen's lab up, I'd like to reproduce.
Yeah, get
Again,
some
what
good
happened?
pictures of it.
What happened with all of this stuff is why I was doing the work. You only have so many hands, so you're doing the work, and you don't get to photograph it and everything else while doing it. You get to see it, but you don't get to do it. Do you have a picture of the Ferrocell on your computer in that picture that we took?
No, I don't know how to put pictures on this computer because it doesn't have an SD or any of that stuff. I'd have to hook it directly up to my camera, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
here,
once Karen switched me over to this one.
Everything disappeared. That's how I am in here where my stuff is
Yeah.
outside. But let's see if I can get you over. Keep talking a minute while I'm looking for
Okay.
this.
Yeah, oh, big shout out to Balliet Bran 369. Thank you so much. I didn't see that one. That must have came early. Yeah, 701. Wow. Thank you so much. Let's say hi to everybody. Jana, hello, darling. It's always
Hello,
good.
Shauna. How are you feeling today, darling?
Dr. Bass, NDB, Canadian Divergent. We've got November in the house, Jersey Bob to die for. Any word. Thank you all for hanging out. Justin Johnson, thank you so much, man. Let's see. I saw a lot of other people in the chat earlier. Yeah, 711 Lucas. Yeah, there's. I think I saw Sue Finelli way earlier. Earth First, Space Later. There she is, Sue Finelli. Yeah, I love y'all. Have you found it yet, Cam? Still
Yeah, I'm just
working on it?
copying it over now. No, I was just having, I didn't want to share on this computer. But let me get it this way, and let's see. Oh, and it won't paste it.
It won't.
Okay, it won't. Okay, I'm just going to present then. Fine.
Okay.
Having a real hard time here. Let's close some of this really quick and StreamYard. Present. I want my computer bad. I thought it was bad out there, but I am really bad out here.
You're doing fine. Waiting for the snow, says Kevin.
Where is he
Sorry.
at? He's waiting for the snow.
I'm not sure. I just feel sorry for him. I don't miss the snow at all. This is 2 years now since I've seen snow, and I love it. Doesn't bother me one bit. Okay, here we go.
Okay, this, if you look at the screen right here, this is something that under a very homemade Ferrocell, cardboard tape, ferrofluid, and glass, again, the basics of it. So not a bad thing. We had some, again, the colored Ferrocells, and that you get a lot better pictures, but this is an oldie but goodie. It's just showing taking two dipoles, one here, placing them, getting a quadrupole, you get your dipole loop around. And this is just playing with, again, simple magnets at home. These ones we rocked with copper. We were doing different things to get stronger effects. This pattern came closer to the pattern that we look at when we're looking at our declination. It gets a lot closer if you do, here I want to show you, go back.
Yeah, that blew my
to-
mind when that popped up. I was just like, oh my gosh, Cammy's right.
Okay, this, if we go to...
I thought she was crazy. Crazy lady.
Crazy lady. This, if you look at here in magnetics, this is called a dipole, and it's very, again, we're going to hit it over. Dipole just meaning two poles on it that you're seeing face up, a positive and a negative. It could be a bar magnet. Ways you could get this is you could be looking at this as a one single magnet and seeing both sides of the magnet laying across, or you could also get the same pattern by running two magnets, one with the positive up and one with the negative up in columns. If you're building up and down, that would actually be, and going into it, you would run one in a face up. So take your bar and face it up, one face down, and you could get your dipole here mirrored on the other side. And all of a sudden this creates itself in the center. Why did that catch my eye some? That was catching my eye a lot, just looking at the magnetics on ways to produce it, because I knew that on these patterns, like doing it just magnetically, and then we'll get into Helmholtz, or that doing it magnetically on this configuration that we saw, there were many ways to do it. Your quadrupole, again, you could have two magnets, a bar magnet laying here, a bar magnet laying here to get your four poles.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I could put one up, one down, one up, one down, and get it. I know on this configuration, you can take coils, run electricity through it. And what they use at CERN, and that you also, this pattern is, again, what they use at CERN. It's very intelligent. It is we use it at CERN at different places. The quadrupole, what it does is it's a natural field extender and a natural field stabilizer. So having this configuration of the magnetics unlike your single magnet, you're feeling again, you're strong, your North Pole, your South Pole, and this actually evens out the field, and it also explains things like when Max, what's his name, flew from Sydney, and his compass switched
Egan.
over. Max Egan flew over and said, "Yeah, my compass did a strange flip over here."
Shauna is asking a 4-lobe shape always.
The 4-lobe shape. This I'm picking right off of the declination map, and the 4 lobes, hence the name quadrupole. That you're seeing 4 poles. You're seeing 4 poles. So again, let's demystify it and take all of the, don't be scared to listen to me talk. It's not that hard. Dipole, just think of bipole or dipole. And I also use that word for pillar in a way. A pillar is nothing but a dipole, a polarized pole or a magnet, a dipole, or a pillar. You think of any of the old esoteric, occult, any of the different things that you look at, you'll hear coming up the stories again, be it tarot cards or Masonic or whatever. When you put the pillars, when you position the pillars correctly, the stairway to heaven creates itself, or appears. And so it's also had a neat little esoteric on there.
So many of the Masonic tracing tables have that.
You mentioned
many
before
of
that the
the
magnetic field is a toroid; it spins. So does that mean this pinwheels?
this right here would be a nice, again, you have your toroid that spins, but you would have your quadrupole in the center that's going to again add a lot of stability and extension to it.
So that's not spinning?
No, it would spin. It would keep the toroid. It would keep it as one big. This would function as like one giant magnet with a little bit more intelligence, meaning that it's a field extender, a field stabilizer, and it would again be much more stable.
But yeah, he's asking if it's gonna, like, the red and blue are rotating around.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening at all. This is again
No, that's what. See, this is the magnetic field, in my opinion.
This is and that's again, we call it the magnetic field, but that's where we mess up.
What you're thinking of is the electromagnetic field, Kyle. Like we say, the ether drift.
They sound so close. They sound so similar.
Yeah, well,
This is
there's
the Pharaoh. This is the Pharaoh.
electric
This
field,
is
a magnetic field, and an electromagnetic field. We measure like all 3 of them here.
And the
all
pattern
different things,
you're
but they
looking
sound
to-
so alike.
Well, it really does make sense, though. If you look at how things run in a wire, we'll just turn this on. So say I'm coming like straight towards you, right? The wire is coming from me to you, high potential going towards a low potential at this end. So it's like looking at a clock face then. You're going this way. It's the right hand rule, really. If you go like this.
Mm-hmm.
So the flow of electricity is going this way. The high potential is at the base of my hand, and the low potential is over here by my thumb. And then the magnetic field is going to rotate around in this direction. And if you point it straight down on Earth, because we have high potential above us and the low potential is beneath us, so we point it down like this, and the sun, moon, and stars all go around clockwise, just like the right-hand rule does. Okay, but that's your electromagnetic field. And then your electric field is in there. That's going from, the high potential to the low potential, now an electric field is different depending on the shape. So it's a very specific way that our electric field is set up. And then our electromagnetic field is the field created from that current going through there. But then we have a magnetic field down here at the bottom that anything that we make, magnetized, that's ferrous, well, you can drop it in water and it'll point towards this certain point on Earth. That's our magnetic field.
I feel like we got to do an episode just talking about the difference between each of those because, yeah.
Tip them in more because I don't know if that even, he's calling that the magnetic field, but I'm going to take it down and call that just the Pharaoh. This is how Pharaohs.
There you go.
This is how Pharaohs react. Ferromagnetics. Only how ferromagnetics react to the field. If we took a different imprint, and we're imprinting on how something that was paramagnetic reacted to it and trying to pick that up, it would look very, very different from this. This is simply a pattern of the way that ferrous items are attracted and react to a magnet. So iron filings, again, very few things, but a compass needle, a way that we can, react to it. So that's just part of the field. We have the dia, which is the downward raining down on, that is again affecting everything, where the dia, which is raining down and affecting everything, the ferro just affects such a small portion of it, but it's that strongest sticky action that your compass is. You get your most visual reaction to it.
Okay, so one
your
is
most physical.
stationary. It's kind of staying in the same spot.
Yeah,
The
ferro
other
is
one
very static.
spinning.
Mm-hmm. Ferro is
another
very
one
static.
is
It's just
like
it's a
just
static
flowing
reaction of
down.
the irons. Mm-hmm. Flowing down of, again,
Straight
think
this
of an
out.
ionic field, just flowing down of this. Where the ferro, think of the ferro as just because the field is there. This is just where things want to stick it, the direction that they want to stick and point to, if they are ferrous, or again, if they react to if they react to a magnet, which is again very small amount of things. That's why when they talk about a pole shift and you're thinking of magnets and the greatness of it, again, how many when you walk around with a magnet, unless you're in your house around your electronics, how many things is your magnet going down, the rocks, not how many things is it really grabbing, the particles of the sand and things like that, but it's not really reacting to most of the stuff out there. Obviously, the way it reacts to the ferrous, that you feel it, you touch it, it's much more of a tactile, stronger. Again, out of all of the different reactions, you get things that are ferrous react strong to it, and they react in this pattern. So this is your ferro, and this is the declination. They use it because it's what compasses pick up as our magnetic. And so we travel, and we've always traveled. We've been using this for, again, hundreds of years to reconcile where we are compared to where our compasses point. And it's simply a pressure mediation. If you had a pole shift and you switched the colors on it, again, you switch the colors, but things are still raining down. Your rotations and things will do it, but again, it's the things that are ferrous that are going to react strong at first, and most of the other reactions are very weak and will take time to work themselves into it, I would think.
Yeah, we don't even really
like
feel the magnetic field flowing in another direction, in the direction it is flowing. It takes very precise instruments to even pick it up, that are measuring light, moving from one spot to another, compared to another light moving from one spot to another.
Yeah, from what I remember,
your
birds
ring
actually have
laser gyro would pick it up.
built-in compasses that they used for migration.
Kyle, you have one too.
Mm-hmm. Right in your nose.
You have a piece. Look up nose magnet on your computer or whatever. You have a piece of magnetite, which is you grew it in your nose. It's harder to find now. It used to be you would get article after article of it. But the same thing that birds have, most mammals do, including people. I can find, and I've tested it, I can usually find, you can hone into it and find north by a feeling if you're outside and away from things out in nature. We were doing it when we were in Canada a lot, and I was remarkably doing good on it for somebody who has no sense of left or right.
Some people have a better sense of direction than others, and that could explain why.
They have that would explain why is on it, but everybody has the same thing that birds have. We all have. They call it vestigial. In our case, we don't use it anymore. It's something that was used by our ancestors years ago. So they don't. It's kind of like the junk DNA. They don't teach us about. Karen goes over all kinds of things that they look for, that they just don't bother diagramming out on things because they've decided that it's junk and we don't need to know about it. It's not there for a reason. It's not doing anything. So why do you need to know? But you actually have several pieces of magnetite throughout your body. And one of them is right at the bridge of your nose. And they call it your nose magnet.
Yeah. Iron-rich tissue may serve as biological compass. They're in fish. I know they're in birds. Iron inside the cells, that sensitivity credited to iron inside the cells. I don't know if that's... No, there's an actual magnet in there.
No, there's an actual
magnetic
piece of
bones
magnetite.
in human science. in human
Sinuses.
sinuses.
I'm at one of
National
those
Institute
classes.
of Health.
Blew my mind in so many different ways. Like, I never knew that most birds migrate at night, and that's why they bump into like the large power generators, the fans. They bump into those at night and end up slaughtering like tons and tons of birds because the birds just fly right into them and don't see them.
Yeah. Right here it says evidence continues to accumulate that a wide range of organisms from bacteria to vertebrates can detect and orient to ambient magnetic fields. Wow.
Ooh, I'm still sharing and I didn't know that. But if you still have me up here, go ahead and
I can put you up there.
mhm.
You are up.
This is funny too. This used to be really easy to find, and I found that when I started looking for it, they started selling a lot of nose magnets that were like magnets that you would pretend like you pierced your nose and put a magnet up. It's almost like they hear the terms and they put out the different things. But do humans have a compass in their nose? This was one of a bazillion articles, but we'll let this one come up. But some years ago, scientists at Caltech discovered that humans possess a tiny, shiny crystal of magnetite in the ethmoid bone, located between your eyes, just behind the nose. Magnetite is a magnetic mineral also possessed by homing pigeons, migratory salmon, dolphins, honeybees, and bats. Indeed, some bacteria even containing strands of magnetite that function. Again, the crystals your body grows them, according to Dr. Charles Walcart of the Cornell Laboratory, as tiny compass needles, allowing them to orientate themselves in the Earth's magnetic field and swim down to their happy home in the mud.
Now I'm thinking about all the magnetic people. Yeah.
All people are, yeah. In any case, when
I'm talking about like from the like injections and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true too, with the things under to mess you up.
Like, I wonder how that messed you up, messed people up.
A lot. I imagine it would. It helps. It seems that magnetite helps directions and finding. I start to talk and then you do it. Our timing is just directly off, but I'll read a little bit further and then have you asked. It seems that magnetite helps direction finding in animals and helps migratory species migrate successfully by allowing them to draw upon Earth's magnetic field. But scientists are not sure how they do this. In any case, when it comes to humans, according to some experts, magnetites make the ethmoid bone more sensitive to the magnetic field and helps your sense of direction.
So if the poles shift and all these different animals are dependent on that, that could lead to some of that catastrophic, end of the world kind of stuff, or mass extinction.
No, because if the poles shift, Kyle, and again, your declination is just shifting one or the others, what are they looking for? How are they flying with it? Will it really mess them up, or will they adjust to it? They adjust to different magnetic fields everywhere they go.
Yeah, I bet it would be like our maps,
Right.
It depends on how
pole shift,
instantaneous
all
it
we're
is.
going to have to do is kind of rotate the map a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they
if
still
you got
know
like a
the
whole
map.
flock of Canadian geese that are on their way towards North America, and they're not finding that, and they're ended up heading out, across the ocean, that could be problematic for them.
Oh, really? But if the pole shift and it's something over time or something, and it's following the magnetic field, and they're sensing to do it, on sensing on where it's going to be colder or warmer, I would almost trust them more than us. I would almost say.
Though I did hear
pole
some stuff
shift
about
of the animals. What is their
that,
instinct to go where it is? But I have a feeling that their instinct is going to go pretty good with that.
Yeah, I did hear some theories that the birds can actually like follow the stars, so that they actually use the stars in navigation, not just like their built-in compasses, but yeah, they use the stars as landmarks.
Anyway, most places just call it vestigial, but this one you actually had somebody that was writing in perceptual and motor skills as far back as 1987, has even suggested that this compass was helpful in human evolution as it made it migration and hunting easier. Everybody else has just written it off because they're probably embarrassed that they didn't see it there before. And so they just decided that we've never, ever used it. So now it's just written off as junk stuff that we have with our junk DNA. This is our
they don't want you to even know about it. Kind of like the pineal gland, they don't, pineal gland, they don't I argued with a nurse of 30 years for, hour trying to show her there's a gland at the base of your brain called no, there isn't. We would have heard about that. I was a nurse that did all these surgeries, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it's there. Sorry.
Yeah, they're even discovering new organs these days that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just like within our skin, like there's a whole different organ over there. Yeah.
I just found this one. So this is from science, right? .org. The body's hidden compass. What is it and how does it work? So many animals sense and respond to Earth's magnetic field is no longer in doubt, and people too may have a magnetic sense. Blah, blah, blah. How this works remains a mystery. Some researchers say it relies on iron mineral, magnetite. Others invoke a protein in the retina called cryptochrome. Now, I've never heard of this before. Have you, Cammie?
No, I haven't. I do know that like when I've done it pretty successfully, and I have done it pretty successfully, it's a feeling. In other words, you close your eyes, you ground, you see what it feels like to face north, and again, doing it at night or different things. It's just a feeling. It's not, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's retina things. I don't think it's any of those things. I think that you just like hone into the way it feels.
To Die For says birds can see the frequency in the sky like a fish can see in the current in the ocean. That's got me thinking about honeybees and about how bees are claimed to be able to see the polarized
Light
in the sky, and they use that for navigation. But yeah, when it comes to animals and just what they can see and what they can't see, like I don't even know where they get that from. Like, this is what an animal looks like. That's what vision looks like. I'm like, how do you know?
If you can't see outside of that thing, how do you know? But yeah, again, they look at the lenses and speculate a lot and see that the stuff that, again, what makes our vision, there are more sensors on other things, and that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
but I don't also
trying to take a picture out of an eyeball would be kind of like really wild and creepy, and yeah.
Cody over on Rockfin asks, do cats have it in their whiskers? I don't think it's in their whiskers. Who knows, though? I mean, I know people have said if you cut half a cat's whiskers off just on one side, they'll kind of walk funny. I've never done it, though. I couldn't do that to a cat. But I've heard people say that. I don't know. But I'm sure there's somewhere in there. Somewhere right around there. The birds, they have it in their beak right below, like right here. Fish, they have it in their brain. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's so many things left to discover, even about our own bodies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish we could discover them without getting icky. Because, like, any kind of discovery like that, there's been some mad scientist who's been doing all kinds of crazy torture experiments to try and come up with these claims to support it with. And yeah, that's the unfortunate side of everything.
And another thing is that I know my sister-in-law, I guess I would call her, she was a surgeon and she had to work on cadavers and stuff like that in med school. And she said every once in a while she'd get a body and like everything was weird inside. Like all the veins and arteries were not where they usually are. And like the organs were not where they usually are. She said it was just weird. And they would put that off as like a anomaly and just not talk about it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't, embrace the anomalies and kind of check them out.
Yeah, for me, that'd be like, wow, I've got to explore this and find out why.
Yeah, but no, once I found out that, like, when they find things like that in humans, they kind of just say, anomaly, blah, 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 blah.
There's too many people who just kind of go through life and just, they see something normal or abnormal and they just kind of pass it along. too much work. I'm not going to look into that.
Mhm.
Oh well, I'm not going to look into that. Someone else can deal with that. Above my pay grade.
What do you got for us, Cam?
Oh, this one I missed earlier, but this was with the European Union, and I like their take on what would happen. Earth's magnetic poles could start to flip. What happens then? They have one of the best ones on it, I thought. As Earth's magnetic shield fails, so do its satellites. First, our communication satellites in the highest orbits go down. Next, astronauts in low Earth orbit can no longer phone home. And finally, cosmic rays start to bombard every human on Earth. And guess what? We could die. This one they say it starts to flip. Now, what these people all do is they say it fails and then flips, but I don't know why it needs to fail before flipping. In magnets, when we shift poles on magnets, it's not like they have a point in between when they flip. I mean, am I missing something on this? There's not a point where they're not magnetic when you switch the things on it. You run electricity through it and switch the way that the poles react. But there's I've never ran into. I've switched I've also changed the magnetics of them, just again rubbing one magnet against another and doing different things like that. But I've never noticed that it's totally failed in between. So that's something else to look at in the way that they do this. Because again, why would it fail? Why do they assume that it fails in between the shift? Is there any reason we would think that?
No.
Karen, help me out. Karen?
No.
It's like saying you're turning it off, isn't it?
Right. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things do is they say that because again, our title is Earth's magnetic poles could start to flip. What happens then? And they start with that as the shields fail.
Yeah, the
Why?
shields, yeah. That would, now I've said it before, like the electric field were to stop, that would be
Mhm.
catastrophic.
Yes.
Same thing with the magnetic field.
If we're
Yeah.
to end, yes, but if it were just to flip over, I don't know. I think it would change our weather patterns. I think that really would do some climate change and things like that. But I don't know. I don't see it. Again, the more you deep down think about it, again, the deeper and deeper you go, the less catastrophic it gets. The more into reality you get with it and saying, well, what would it affect? What would, and then what would be the time frame?
Yeah, but the tides would change, little things like that.
Over time, though, but it would take
over
a while
time.
to change,
Yeah.
and it would take, because again, it's not like a stop jerk of stopping the world.
Yeah, it's not fair. If everything were ferromagnetic, yeah, it'd be different. But
it'd be totally different. It was all
not.
ferromagnetic, and it would be totally different if we were in motion, and this was again stopping motion and switching directions or something like that. There's none of that going on. The oceans and the currents made themselves and did it again, interacting with everything and changing one little piece of it. The other things are going to adjust slowly. It's not just like when we're watching it move right now, you don't see each time they show it making a jump. What are you feeling? Again, you don't feel it. You're not, again, unless you're glad you have a little bit of pharaoh in your blood and that we react to things a little bit. So it got a much more subtle, nuanced effect than like what they try to sell us. But I do like that. And then cosmic rays start to bombard every human on Earth. And then what would happen? I'm sure that we would all die. Most worrying, we may be headed right for this scenario. Yes.
Yeah, they love their fear porn.
Mm-hmm.
So, in conclusion, I guess we could wrap up this chat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they can tell dates at all by measuring magnetic anomalies in stones and things like that, Cammie?
I don't know if they could date it. I think what they could do is take again, the way that they do it, I think that they could do some little locational things and say that things were taken out of the same quarry. When you align them and from different locations a little bit, I think you could match small locational areas. But no, I don't think. And again, when you do different other areas to date it, again, they take one thing, lock into it, like they think they know the date of something, then they take the magnetic reading and say this must mean this. The way that they back into the way that they're doing the science, again, I think it can be used as a investigative tool, but I don't think that you can apply a strong dating to it without knowing. In other words, it could be maybe a cofactor and things, but not just to straight that, oh, it's got this alignment, it's therefore this old. I do think that, again, you can, just like you can find weed dates, like when you find emeralds, for instance, one's from Colombia or typically more valuable from ones from Zambia or whatever, by different type of local influences that make them grow ever so different, give them a slightly different color and different properties. And they're both going to test out the same barrel and everything. They're going to test the same, but there's going to be slight nuances. And it's just nuanced.
How about you, Kyle? What do you think? Do you think there's any validity to them saying that the magnetic crystals cooled in this direction and the magma and this, and like,
See, that's the other thing too, is I think that other things influence it, not.
I
Okay.
mean, maybe they can
Zach?
say the magnetic field did this and that, but how did they know that that magma cooled 700,000 years ago?
Yeah, that's another one of them claiming to be immortal, all-knowing beings when they clearly are not.
See, I see more like, again, I see much more the direction of the flow attracting what way the particles lay than the Earth's magnetic field on the way that they're lining up. So again, when you have like items from different areas, I think you could use that as a subtest, but I think there's so many different things that influence the way that, again, the pharaohs are going to line up, that saying, flat out that this is because of Earth's magnetic field is I think that's quite a leap. But I do think, again, that you could look at patterns of certain anomalies and say that these bricks and everything is lined up here under photomicropy, and these bricks are, and these two are from the same location. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? That you could do a nuanced, you could use it for information, but not, I would never derive all of the information they're getting from it.
Well, yeah, but like bricks, I mean, you would have to know how they were made, how they were laid while they were being made in the, did that happen while they were in the oven?
You would need all of that too.
Were they all laid in the same way in the oven? I mean, there's so many different things, variables that can change, that I just don't think it's neat that you can see the way the magnetic field, aligned all this way in different materials. I think that's amazing. And it's a good starting point to start taking samples and say, okay, this was made where this end was facing directly in this direction, and it was taken at this time, and we're going to put it on this shelf, and in 20 years, or we'll do a brick every so often and see if they change or something like that. That's, that would be a starting point to me, not guessing when certain things were made and how they were made and saying, oh, well, look at this, we see this, so this has changed over time. Well, you don't really know, because you didn't do it, you weren't there. And I think, yeah, this is interesting. The way that they're coming about gathering the information is great, but the way they're applying, I see, is flawed.
Exactly. Again, it's fun to collect the data and see where the things are, but again, applying it and calling it, it's kind of like redshift, Hubble's law. Redshift, we observe it, it's there.
And we apply
one man
it to
said
things,
that. One man said that, well, let's see, out of these 30 things, Doppler fits in with the expanding universe theory, so let's pick this one. And all of a sudden we've locked in that redshift now equals Doppler. And again, made a science around it, built astrophysics around that, and found to it. So again, to build things around unknowns and to apply it that way gets really, really It builds on itself. It gets scary. That's where the sciences get scary on building on each other. You're building on a very, very shaky foundation there. On doing it, and again, saying that we know that heat gets rid of magnetization and that. And again, at what point are they cooling, and are they doing it, and where would they lock in? And again, is there no other influences on saying what direction these would go in? So if you have areas of the ocean when it shifts, again, maybe within these tracks there's intelligent purpose to the way the earth was grown to work with the magnetic fields, to assume that something shifting over, you can mark time with it like that. The way they're applying, again, it gets very speculative. At one point, after you speculate enough, again, somebody will lock in and build everything on it. Big bang.
I think one of the things worth thinking about is the cause of the different kinds of we talked about like multiple big vocabulary terms just barely. We talked about electromagnetism, and we talked about ferromagnetism, and we talked about diamagnetism, and what was it? The two that I was mixing up on was electromagnetism and just magnetism, right? And so there's all these different things around, but each one is caused by something different. And so we're talking about the toroidal field and how one is toroidal, that one's going to be spinning, and the other one is not going to be spinning. It's just going to be doing that four-leaf clover thing. And so what is the cause of one type rather than the other type? And that one's like a huge, something for me to munch on anyway, to find out kind of
That's
Yeah.
Farah
Para.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Right.
we
I
need
think we
to-
were going
we
to do
could-
that shit.
We could do that one again. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, that's a good one to go over.
Yeah, we didn't really get into the cause of each of them though, and so when it
Right.
comes
Get
to
into the cause and then the electrics
Yeah.
and the magnetics.
what makes something ferromagnetic, for example, like everything is diamagnetic because it's a different cause, but not everything is ferromagnetic. So the causes, I think, is very much worth investigating.
Absolutely. Okay, and
I
Karen
think we
B,
can get there. Yep.
what are your thoughts on dating things using the magnetized crystals in all this stuff? What's your take on any of this stuff?
I think it's just them looking for another way to push their extreme timeline that they can't really verify. I don't believe you can age rocks or anything based on magnetic field or oxygen content, because I know they try to do that too. So, just my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
I agree. I think it's neat that they are finding, evidence of how magnetic fields are affecting these things in the actual crystal lattice structures of the material. I think that's really neat, and I think that's worth,
I would like to see how and
yeah,
what,
that too. Yeah, I'd
I
really have
would
to
like
see
to
how
see
and all that kind of stuff.
the nerdy material on that part.
Because they've claimed to do all kinds of things, right? Cold fusion. They say they're
Right.
cracking fusion right now.
They're saying, yeah, they're
You
making
know, all
matter out
kinds
of
of stuff.
light. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
So yeah, it's kind of one of those. I'm from Missouri right now, and you need to show me because I need to see this to believe it. Yeah, agreed. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up for GlobeBusters Tech pole shift episode. So pole shift. I don't doubt that the actual spot in between our clover leaf moves. I mean, they've had to repaint all bunch of runways, change the numbers on them because they're
Yeah.
all lined up to, what azimuth that runway is lined up with,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Anything that
just your
drives
compass reading.
by sea or by
Exactly.
air needs accurate compass readings, and they need to know their declination
Maps are
So
updated every
yeah.
year. You don't want to try to use a map out at the ocean that's 30 years old. You'll probably end up a little bit away from where you were trying to go, because they do. I mean, it has shifted. Now, I was trying to measure it, but where I was in Indiana, there's not much declination. You know, it would be good somewhere over near England, maybe, where it's actually, they're facing north, but they're seeing it from, it's going from Canada over to Siberia, so it's crossing their horizon, going left to right. Whereas mine, it was going from Canada to Siberia, which was like directly away from me. So north to me was still pretty much facing north. But whereas like over there in Europe, they would be seeing it kind of crossing over them, going towards Siberia. So yeah, I tried to measure it. And then I really got into thinking about it and how, you know, your house settles and moves a little bit. It can shift a little bit, and there's all kinds of things that can change in the
Mhm.
environment that can make your readings off. So I just quit trying. And the fact that it wasn't really it's moving in a straight line away from me made it kind of pointless as well. But yeah, as soon as I heard that they had to repaint all these runways because the magnetic field lines, are different now, I was like, okay, yeah, then yeah, no more denying it. The pole, it moves. Looks like it's slowing down now. Interesting. We'll just
They
have to
had
keep
to
an eye on it.
repaint the runways because the pole shifted.
Well, yeah, the
Why does
numbers on the runway, like, so
Well,
you
or
know
they'll
which
change the
runway you're coming into
declination.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I used to come into this runway at 110 degrees, but now I'm coming into this runway and it's 113 degrees.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check into that. It's neat.
It
So
is
that's
neat. They repaint many runways every year for it. Again, it's something that's kept and changed and updated, and it's the key to us traveling the way that it works. So it is interesting to look into areas that shift. It's also areas that tend to shift a lot, and some areas hardly shift at all. And in those areas that have shifted quite a bit, you'll notice that they need their equipment to test it and to know that it's shifting. It's only by like the runways not being in line with the angles that they're told to land that they know nothing catastrophic happened. The world didn't end. Extinction didn't happen, but they do need to adjust for it on a regular basis because it is changing. And it's, again, since we've had runways and since we've done aviation, it's something that we've fine-tuned into it. We know it's changing and we account for it. We adjust for it every year.
Yep.
And function.
Well, alrighty, folks, that's gonna do it for the show. You all are regulars here for the most part. Actually, I did see a couple newbies in the chat. Kyle Adams, his channel has been taken down a couple times, and I've been removed from it a couple times already. So go on over to his channel. It's just Kyle Adams on YouTube, and see if you're still
Abolish
subscribed.
NASA. Kyle Adams, abolish NASA, and then you'll find me.
That'll bring it right up. Yeah, because Kyle Adams just alone it might take a while.
Yeah, because I've been abolish NASA. You find it really quick.
Yeah, you can see his avatar here. You'll see that as his logo, and you'll know you're in the right spot. But yeah, it puts out a video just about every single day, and they're getting better and better.
Thank you.
Each one. Yeah, so keep it
I
up,
really
man.
appreciate that. Yeah. Today I'm talking about gravity. I've been talking about that and Newton's third law and how Newton never took molecular bonds into consideration, as far as I can tell. He just said, "Oh, the ground is pushing things upward." I'm like, no, those are molecular bonds. If you put a bowling ball on water, those bonds will split, and that ball is going to fall right through the water. And yeah, he just never took that into consideration. And yet, for some reason, we're still calling this normal force, this upward force, when it's just actually this horizontal force of the molecular bonds. And I get into that more in that video. But that normally opens up quite a bit of conversation. And so I think I'm going to be talking more about that in the future.
Nice. Hey, Karen B. You can find her at Karen B. Her backup channel, Unveiling This Realm, I believe. Is that correct? Yep. And she's everywhere. Her and Mark Sargent do a show Tuesday night called Strange World. She's got Solar Scripture on Saturdays at 11:11. Monday morning coffee talk, sometimes a Friday morning coffee talk. Usually starts around 9:30-ish. She's kind of a wizard, so she arrives precisely when she's supposed to.
Just searching Karen B has been really weird for me on YouTube lately. I have to go through Unveiling This Realm like every time if I'm gonna find my way over there, or go through my my list of people I'm subscribed to and go through it that way, because just trying to just type Karen B in the search engine it just freaks out.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll ever change. Because it was
I hope
okay
so.
before they gave me those strikes.
Now it's, yeah.
And I've been
Very
They're shadow
ever since.
banning you for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely shadow
Karen,
banning.
You can also go to
Yeah.
flatearthfestivals.com, and then there's a menu that says contact Karen B, and if you click on that, it has links to all my platforms that I stream to.
There you go.
So
Nice.
The war is very real.
Yep.
yes, it is.
And it will not be televised. So we need all the help we can
Oh.
get. Murray Cole.
She's working on televising it.
Talking about all the help we can get. Thank you, Murray. You're a huge supporter of the channel. We appreciate you so much. To $20, another good episode. Well, thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you very
Murray.
much, Murray. So that's gonna do it. Cammie, you can find Cammie. Doesn't do a whole lot on her channel too much unless something, big happens on her horizon that she's just got to get out there and scream about. But you can find her over at Iron Realm Media tomorrow night. We're on our backup channel, I believe. If you just type in Iron Realm Media, you might be able to find it. Actually, I don't know. We're kind of banned a little bit too. We're in YouTube jail right now on our main channel. That medical misinformation.
Yeah, good time to branch out to the other platforms. Brighteon, BitChute, Rumble, just everything else.
Mm-hmm. Although if you
Odyssey.
Brighteon links can't be shared on Facebook, FYI.
That's the really annoying part about Brighteon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook hates Brighteon for whatever
Odyssey
reason.
does really well though, and
Odyssey is good. Rumble's good. Rockfin's good.
Yeah, there's
pretty
a few
much everywhere but YouTube is good.
Yeah.
That makes it easy. Just say that.
Yeah. So
YouTube is the
gets
one
all
platform that censors us.
And
The other ones not so much.
And it's crazy. That's where we get our most traffic. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword, really is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to do it for
Karen,
tonight.
Yep. I was going to say, Karen, you have been impossible to find. I've noticed it's getting harder and harder. And your Monday coffee talk, a lot of it is turning almost into like the GLOBEBUSTERS tech with the crystals and all of the tech information you're putting out. Really, really well done. Really well done by the GLOBEBUSTERS crew on Sundays that have Jaron and Austin have really been on a roll lately, and things are happening. Things are starting to shift. Just not the polls as much, but yeah, the realm is shifting. But good night, everybody. Thank you for being here, and hopefully see you on the Sunday show.
Yeah, real quick, I want to do a poll. For those of you who caught Sunday's GLOBEBUSTERS show, I said it probably, no joke, at least 7 or 8 times, trying to really drive it home. And I have a quiz for y'all. Now, those of you that already know this stuff and didn't know it before Sunday, please refrain from answering. I'm trying to get kind of a, to see if people are learning anything or I need to go back and cover it again. So those of you who already know what I'm talking about, don't give away the answer too quick. But so when 2 objects are touching each other and electricity is passing from one to the other, what is that called? So you have one object that has high potential, another object that has low potential. They touch and now that potential equalizes between them, and now they're the same potential. What would you call that? Anybody in chat that caught Sunday's show? Come on. Please. I just need one person to have learned this. I'm trying because people want to talk about, the downward vector and this and that, and without comprehending, how it works, it's really not. Discharge, no.
To die for. I'm sorry, love is not the answer this time.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, folks. So it's conduction.
Chilling
Oh,
got it.
Conduction, there it is, chilling. Thank you. Yeah. I'll ask it again on Sunday to see if Salted Cedar got it. Conduction, there we go. Nemo was
All right.
close. He said induction. Okay. I mean, you guys aren't wrong. Stability, equilibrium, all this stuff is taking place. But yeah, I was looking for conduction. So thank you guys. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks you all for hanging out. That was the pole shift. And yeah, I mean, the pole does shift apparently. There's ample evidence for that. Did the Earth end while it was happening? No, we're still here.
Yeah.
It's been happening. So yeah, don't get all wrapped up in a lot of the the 2012 pole shift in the Earth is going to end type of fear porn. It's not it's not good. That's stress you don't need. So that's going to do it, folks. Love y'all. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Hope to see you Sunday at GLOBEBUSTERS. And that'll be it. Remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your minds because there's truth inside. Peace out, everyone.
Peace and war.